Okay, I got some tabs set up for the amps. The lower mounting location, and then this right here is the bracket, which will tie into the top part of the amps. Traction control is installed. Nothing's been calibrated, of course, but I got all the wiring connected. So yeah, I got tach signal, I got wheel speed sensor signals. Got all the wiring buttoned up in there. So that part's done. And I'm going to finish up these this amp mount here. Get some paint on it. Do a little bit of cleanup, and I might take this thing out for a little spin. Do a little test run, another little shakedown test, and see what we come up with, because it's pretty much done now. Pretty much done now. Ready to put the body on it, do the finishing touch. Alrighty, finished up the bracket for the mounts, the mounting for the amps. Wiring's pretty much done, everything's done. So I figured I'd do a little walk around, because hopefully this will be the last time, you know, that it's all exposed like this. So man, I don't know what to say. I'm pretty amazed at how this thing has turned out. It's been a lot of years. Pretty much everything I've touched has been modified, tweaked, adjusted. Spent a lot of time on the forums researching, you know, the best way to do something, because, you know, everybody is pretty much tried everything. And there's a lot of guys that make parts for this car that are on the forum. A couple of them. So yeah, get on the forum, get all the parts if you want. So yeah, the brakes, nothing special here. I can't remember that I had to modify anything special except for that plate that goes over here, so it doesn't rub, because this actually stands up taller than these bars do. And I got the brake lines all bent in there, nice and tidy. None of them touch each other. You know, it's all suspended by rubber mounts. So yeah, hard lines to each corner, braided flexible lines out to the calipers. And these are AC Delco part. They said Corvette on the outside, and I razor bladed that off and then polished it up. So we got just a red caliper. But yeah, big brakes, front and back. 6 piston in the front, 4 in the back. And then you got your adjustable bias knob, which I put in here. So that can be adjusted front to rear bias. So that part should work pretty good. The steering is pretty much standard rack from the kit. Standard linkage from the kit. This is a telescopic wheel, so had to do some modifying in here. Had to do some modifying how this thing mounts so it mounts up sturdy. Moved it, can't remember which way I moved it, probably that way a bit, from the factory location. No binding in the linkage, nice and solid. That all came out good. And the wheels that I powder coated black, and the R888s, I tell you, those are a nice soft rubber. See how that feels. Fuel, custom fuel tanks, which I got off the forum. And then all the automotive stuff that I got tucked into this section with access hole if I need to. You know, and then also when the body's on it, I can take this piece off and get in through there. So there are a couple different ways to get in there and service that stuff, but it is tight. And then I was going for looks on the fuel rails and bringing the line back instead of a crossover, which made it a little bit tougher. Custom made, hand bent all these things, welded these fittings on here in order to tuck the fuel system right up against the engine so it'd fit underneath the cover, not interfere with the wiring, and not be seen, and be durable. So I got my fuel check valve tucked in here. Everything is wrapped with heat insulation. Anything in the engine compartment, you need tubing, wires, and then the fuel system goes over to the other side, which I have a fuel pressure regulator and a gauge, which I poked up through there. Kind of a cool little spot to poke it up through, and it flowed well as far as it's dumping in that side. And that's the fuel system. That came out pretty good. Haven't seen any issues there. The cooling system, pretty much all stock. I did put the radiator below this bar rather than on top, which allowed me more clearance here for the hood, because I have my hood down really low. You know, there's always a problem with the guys getting the right arch in the wheel well, and I don't know, I think they molded the thing where the hood is down low, so rather than re-arching my wheel well, I sunk everything down, so it's really tucked down low. Had to tuck the wiper down low. That was all custom. And then put these 90s on here, you know, so it looks good and it serves a purpose rather than trying to bend that up, come down in. Everything's padded, protected, solid. All the cooling lines. Everything's insulated in the tunnel quite well. And then a custom made reservoir here. So yeah, I went through quite a few different versions of that before, you know, I made a big enough one, tuck it in there. You know, and that was quite a trick, getting that all plumbed with the braided lines and the AN fittings, but that came out pretty good. Then the wiring, boy, quite a bit with the wiring with the ISA system. Haven't even got into that yet. as far as setting up the key fob. Setting up the in reserve if it isn't already. You know, when it gets below a certain voltage, it shuts it off. And so they spent a lot of time on the wiring, getting all that stuff integrated, you know, into one custom loom. You know, the entertainment system, you know, the whole works. So I'm pretty happy with how the wiring came out. Yet to be tested, but it should be fine. And the stereo, that's going to be quite something, going with that Audison system, running it off of the tablet, all custom stuff here, all handmade. Yeah, I showed this to one guy and he says, "What'd you do that with?" And I said, "I did it by hand on my garage floor." "No, you didn't." "Yeah, I did." He couldn't believe it, so that was kind of funny. Shocks, which Quick Racing Products, you know, went through a couple different compression ratios, spring rates, kind of came up with a package for the GTM, so I'm going with them. Got their sway bar on the front, sexy looking piece. The Race Logic, got the front and rear laser built in with the GPS, the 9500 CI. Cook's exhaust, Mendiola tranny, custom made linkage for the shifter. You know, high heat insulated cables, made to the custom length I wanted, custom made e-brake cables to the length I wanted. All of it tucks down in that tunnel, nice and tidy. Oh, what else, man? The intake system. Boy, talk about custom there. You know, I wanted the dual. I wanted symmetry when you're looking at engine bay. The engine bay turned out pretty nice and clean. No wires visible. I might put some kind of wristband sweat sock over that to keep some of the vapor from getting it oily in there. My tow hooks that I got set up, front and rear reverse cameras, everything's wired, ready to be plugged in, set up. Wiring for my lights, interior lights, cargo lights. I think I'm going to get a different wheel for that thing. So yeah, everything's kind of in a custom spot. You know, this has been all twisted and stuck up out of the way. My goal for this area was to keep this clear. So when I'm done, I'm going to make a aluminum box here and make it sealed. So I'll have a sealed, you know, small amount of cargo space right there. I remember the engine was rebuilt, got the trick flow top end kit, 550 horse, 440 to the wheels. So far that thing seems to be pretty good. And I think I got everything buttoned up. My door poppers. I thought that was pretty cool. That was came from Japan or something. That's for a couch, a sofa. That'll be mounted here. Emergency exit. My USB power. That's gonna be cool. So I think that's it. I think that is it. Kind of scared to go beyond this point. I never want to button anything up until it's done, and I just can't believe it's done. I just need to knock it off and finish it. Alright, got it on the ground and got it running. Took it out for a little drive, ran it out of fuel. Figured out that you know, the check valve is up kind of high, so I lost prime. The pump lost prime, and I actually had to take the line apart and let the fuel level get up through that pump. So I wish I would have had that check valve, you know, a little bit lower in the system, but it's going to have to do. And there's a quick little procedure, so if I have to, I can bleed that pump, the line, and get that pump working. Yeah, this thing is just insane. The alignment's way off, of course, and right now, to be honest, it's just freaking scary. Scary, scary, scary. And the road's chip sealed, so yeah, man, these tires just pick up rocks like crazy.